Welcome to Stoughton Media Access Corporation's Community Forum Show. My name is Steve Kelley, I'll be your host. And today I have a wonderful pleasure to bring you the committee for Doin It For Diane, which is a food pantry sort of a thing to try and help raise all kinds of funds and also to help feed people in need. So let me start by introducing you to Chris Pantry. So Chris, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Steve.
All right, now you're the president of the group?
President of the Food Pantry Foundation of Stoughton.
Okay.
It's a 501c3 that we created so we could take donations and people could write them off, basically, because it's a registered nonprofit.
All right, so maybe you can help me introduce your committee here, the group that's with you. So we've got Fred Yatanis. What does Fred do for you guys?
Fred is on the Doin It For Diane committee. He is a board member of the Food Pantry Foundation of Stoughton. He is a board member for the Stoughton Chamber of Commerce. The list could go on, but we only have a half hour.
All right, so, and we've got Hank Polanzik, which is right next to Fred.
She's co-director of the Ilse Pantry on Seaver Street, Stoughton.
And what a wonderful thing that all of you are so vested in doing, by the way. Just say thank you to all of you. I think the audience will really appreciate what you're doing. So, and then next to that, Kathy Nestor. So tell us about Kathy's.
She is a volunteer at the St. Anthony's Food Pantry, which the Immaculate Conception Church is basically in charge of. And we, the FPFS distributes funds equally between the two pantries.
FPFS.
The FPFS, the Food Pantry Foundation of Stoughton.
FPFS, Food
Yes.
Pantry Foundation of Stoughton.
Yes.
Okay.
And we take in the funds, and then the food pantries need money to buy food, and we split that evenly between both of the food pantries.
What a wonderful mission, really.
Yeah.
And then last but not least, we have Terry Schneider down the end.
Yes, he is the executive director of the Stoughton Chamber of Commerce. He is one of the co-founders of the Doin It For Diane event, the committee, and he is also the chair of the committee, and the list goes on with Terry. But
All right, well, let me go back, or start right with Terry. Terry, how did this come to be, this Doin It For Diane? You were one of the original founders, the co-founders.
So Diane in the Doin It For Diane was Diane Murray, and about 13 years ago, she passed away from a very sudden heart attack. In fact, I believe she had a similar issue that happened as John Ritter did. And so she was completely healthy, and the next 2 minutes later, she was dead. And her husband was David Fisher, who was a retired principal of the South School and a good friend of many of us. And we sat down one day, David and I and Mark Snyder and Dennis Donahue, and a woman by the name of Demi Goodman, who's not in the area any longer. And we said, hey, why don't we hold some kind of an event in honor of Diane? What could that be? And Dave Fisher said, well, we do like donating and volunteering at the food pantries, so how about we do something there? And long story short, we had a spaghetti dinner at the VFW in Stoughton, and it was very successful, and that was 12 years ago. The following year, being the executive director of the chamber, I said, maybe we can get the chamber members involved. So the following year, we had another event, and we came up with a very fancy name of the Doin It For Diane, not just spaghetti dinner. And we had food from all of our chamber members and so forth. And again, it raised a fair amount of funds. And we said, this is working pretty good. Why don't we just keep doing it? And so we started out as 5 people just trying to make a difference. And we now have a committee of about 18 to 20 people. And that's just the people who come regularly. There's probably about 30 to 40 who volunteer at each of the events that we've had. We have probably raised over $200,000 now for the 2 food pantries.
Well, this is really amazing, and what strikes me is that you've got everything from business groups to religious groups. Kathy, you're at the Immaculate Conception base there. Tell us a little bit about the Immaculate Conception's involvement in this effort.
Oh, well, the St. Anthony's Food Pantry is wonderful. We have, once a month, we have the Council on Aging bring in the people on the bus, and they get tons of food. And then on every Friday, we have people come and they go home with, their cart is filled with food.
And is that in the downstairs of the Immaculate Conception?
Well, it's at it used to be the CCD Center on Park Avenue.
Oh, okay.
And we're in the basement of that. And so we have a big facility, and we have lots of freezers and refrigerators and lots of space for all the food that we get. And we get donations from BJ's and the different places in town. So we have a lot of food. And we get food from the Boston Greater Food Bank once a month. So it's a wonderful, wonderful place to volunteer.
Hank, what's the most rewarding part of this for you?
Well, being asked to be on the show. No.
A wise guy, eh?
No, it's to see the mothers that come in on a regular basis who have children and really depend on the food we give them. They also come every other week, and we get lots of donations. They leave with close to $50 worth of food, I think. They all leave with anywhere from 3 to 4 bags. So that, maybe $50 or $100 a month really helps them be able to pay their other bills. Maybe, these people are dealing with limited incomes, and we've seen some kids come in the winter with their parents without a warm enough coat. So giving them this food gives them a break in their financial crunch so that they're able to do other things. And that's the most rewarding, knowing that the kids are benefiting from this.
And that's a big piece of it, isn't it? I mean, if a parent is not doing as well, there's a level that you could, say, attest to that it could be something they're doing. But the kids, you can't say that.
No, of course not.
There's no level.
That's the thing.
of
There's no
attribution
judgment anyway.
for this.
There is no judgment for anyone that walks through
Doesn't
the door.
matter, kids or otherwise.
Right, no judgment at all. But we know that this food that they're getting, they're bringing home to the children.
And if you've had hard times here in Stoughton, you're going to look up the food pantry, right? And you're just going to find some spot of solace.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think that's fantastic that you guys are all doing that. Fred, you guys have an event. Tell us about this event. It's upcoming. It's within, I think, what's the date? Do we know?
It's actually, yes, it's Friday night, May 5th.
All right. Maybe we can get Gina and Lisa out back. Gina, could we put up the Doing It For Diane fundraiser? So go ahead, Fred. You can.
It's at the Portuguese National Club, which is just opposite the train station, right in downtown Stoughton.
Oh, it's a beautiful building, right? It has some park in the front, and a nice
it's-
ramp,
yep.
fully accessible. Yeah.
Beautiful place, and we've been doing the fundraiser there for a lot of years. It's a very successful event that we all look forward to, with donations from all of the businesses in town, to the citizens in town, and it's a very well attended event that we raise literally tens of thousands of dollars at.
Wow. And what's the date on it?
May 5th, it's Friday night.
It's a Friday night, 6 to 9.
6 to 9.
6 to 9. Do you guys have music?
Well, it's...
Are you going to sing for them this year?
No, Chris is.
Chris is going to sing.
We actually, this year we have great host Gary Marino from Harmon Marino Productions.
Okay.
He runs a company that's all comedy. He hosted my roast. He's very
Okay.
funny.
Yes.
He's donating his time to be our MC and do all the raffles.
So he'll be getting a little bit of fun going on.
He will,
A
and
bit of
we
humor,
also...
a few jokes.
He's very funny. He's a very funny guy. We also have a young man named Christian Patavina, who is currently I guess he's he plays the piano.
Okay.
I haven't heard him,
Yes.
but I'm told he's very good.
Okay.
And
Is he from the Tom Patavina family?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, then he's going to be great. I
Tom
can tell you
Sutton.
that.
So, okay.
From my own experience, I can tell you. He'll be very good.
Tom takes care of our computers at Huggett and Ewing, where I work.
Oh, okay.
And Tom found out I was involved in this, and Christian volunteered his time, and he's going to play the piano during the event. And I'm going to run some, light music behind, because it's about raising money. We have entertainment, but it's about raising money for people that need it.
Is there an auction? Or,
There's silent auctions, there's
Okay.
going to be live auctions, there's raffles, tons of great stuff is donated. I'm currently running online auctions on Facebook for a whole bunch of great tickets. We have Kenny Chesney, we have Tim McGraw and Faith Hill, we have Red Sox tickets donated by Dick Phillips. We have, what else do we
And
have?
those are good seats.
Yeah, that's what Fred was telling me.
They're amazing.
What else do we have, Terry, that I'm missing? Oh, Wicked, donated by
Wicked.
Bridget.
Yeah. Right now,
who's
our
on our
largest
committee.
our largest auction number,
Yes,
bid number.
and so if you want to bid on any of the items pre-event, you can go to the Chamber's Facebook page, which if you just go on Facebook and search Stoughton Chamber of Commerce, Doing It For Diane has a page. It'll be on my page. Just search out Chris Petrie. You can. Some of the stuff is on the Stoughton Chamber's website. There's just many ways to find it, and there's some great stuff, and there's going to be more great stuff. And we're trying to pre-auction it because we run out of time at our event. There's so many great things donated.
Yep.
So that's why I have pre-auction stuff going on. And I share it with Stoughton Enthusiasts Facebook page. I've been sharing it with Support Our Library Association's page. So there's many ways to find it, and there's some great stuff.
All right. What's this thing I've heard about called Stuff the Truck? What is that? Who can answer
Terry
that?
can comment on that.
What
Yeah.
about Stuff the Truck?
Stuff the truck. So I have a truck.
Okay.
And I decided one day after watching, I got here for I think Channel 5, some credit, because I saw they were doing a Stop and Shop, Stuff the Truck. Of course, their truck is a little bit bigger than mine. But I said, hey, you know what? If they can do that, we can do that. And my truck's only 10 feet, but I'd be more than happy to fill it and refill it. But we have done an event past several years in front of Stop and Shop in their plaza. And people basically can donate food items and monetary donations. All runs through Food Pantry Foundation of Stoughton, which feeds both pantries. Excuse the pun. And it's not a huge fundraiser, but it's most important probably for the exposure. That it lets people know, reminds people that we have 2 food pantries and the need that we have for them. This year, as of last night, because Steve and I were at a meeting yesterday, and we were invited to join the Stoughton Day, which is June 24th, and we will have the truck there. They'll be publicizing that also on Facebook, that people can bring their donations to the Stoughton Day event, and we will stuff it in the truck.
So is there a website, if a person wanted to volunteer, they're watching the show and they said, geez, I love what these guys are doing. What's the clearest path?
You can doinitfordiane.com, I believe.
No,
.org.
Yeah.
.org, excuse me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you have to remember that we dropped the G. So it's Doin,
Doin.
D-O-I-N.
Yeah.
I don't know why
It'll
we
still
decided.
come up if you
Doing
Google
it,
search
F-O-R,
Yeah, Doin It, yep, F-O-R.
D-I-A-N-E,
D-I-A-N-E
dot
org.
org.
Yep.
So if you click on that,
If you Google search Food Pantry Stoughton,
okay,
or
It'll
Food
come up.
Pantry Foundation of Stoughton, or anything to do with food pantry locally, all those websites will come up with a
Yeah.
whole bunch of other great
now
stuff.
who are they going to get? Are they going to get Hank? Are they going to get Kathy? They don't want to get you guys. So are they? Who do they directly speak to?
They can speak with anybody
Mm-hmm.
at either of the pantries. Their hours are limited, but there's many different ways to reach us.
Right.
Best bet would probably go on the chamber website, which is www.stoughtonma.com, and
We have a link.
there's so many links that you can link up to, and there's many ways that people want to get involved, or they can come down to Huggett and Ewing to the service department,
Okay.
find me,
And
and
you'll
if
make
they
it
want to
happen.
get involved, I'll make it happen.
And Fred, tell us where you work and whether they can get in touch with you there.
Well, I work with my wife, and we're known as the Fred and Nadine Team Realtors. We're local. We're in the Penny Saver on the front page this week, actually. And we're online at fredandnadine.com as well. And people can always reach out to us and be happy to assist you in any volunteer work or any donations they'd like to make.
This is like a great effort. Now, is it recurring? Is it going to be next year? I mean, is this something that you have the sustainability for?
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah, well, this is our 12th year. So we've so far been fortunate enough to keep it going and keep the interest. Every year, I think we get, I don't know if we get more people, but we get different people who want to get involved. What we'd like to do, as we have started with the stuffed truck, is to do maybe some other venues and other events throughout the year. There are also people who go, well, Peg Carbone I want to mention. She is on the board of our Food Pantry Foundation of Stoughton. She will actually come to your house when you contact her and pick up the food to bring over to the pantries. She does that on a weekly basis. A lot of people do things like that. Actually, I know Fred and Nadine have done that on an annual basis where they go through an entire neighborhood and they let the neighborhood know, and then they go and pick up the food and bring it to the pantries. Post office also does a national event. Hank, you want to maybe cover that a little bit?
Every May, the post office nationally does a fundraiser for the food pantries, and they send a postcard probably 3 days before the Saturday that they're going to pick up. It's usually, I think it's the Saturday before Mother's Day every year is when they plan it. And they ask the people that live in that house if they would donate and put a bag of food out by their mailbox. And the postman pick it up, bring it back to the post office. And the 2 pantries have volunteers with trucks that go over and get the donations. And
It's a lot.
it's wonderful.
It's
Well,
a
it's the whole
lot.
town of Stoughton
Oh,
and
yeah.
Sharon. So if everybody, participates, we're talking about a lot of food. It's probably lasts us, at our pantry, it lasts about 3 months before I have to go shopping again. So it's a lot of food. It's a great fundraiser.
If I may, it might be good, Hank, maybe speaking of shopping, because sometimes people wonder, what do the monetary donations go to?
Yeah.
And they don't realize that it's a limited amount, even though we get a lot of food at certain times of the year. There are certain times of the year when it's a bit sparse and the cupboard is bare, as they say, the shelves are somewhat empty. That's where the money comes into play, because people have to eat, and they have to eat the whole 365 days of the year.
I spend about $20,000 a year at Shaw's. We've got donations, as Kathy was saying, from the Boston Food Bank. We have obviously we get money from here, but as far as food donations, we get individual food donations. We get the Boston Food Bank, and that's basically it for our food. And the Boston Food Bank is great, and they provide a lot of food, but not everything. I mean, there are things the Boston Food Bank donates, which are great, but they don't have everything we need to fill the shelves. So I have to go shopping.
Well, that begs the question of telling us a little bit about, everybody at home watching has a cupboard. It's
Yeah.
not necessarily bare, hopefully. What kind of foods are most suited to the work that you do?
Well, if people want to donate food, they can drop it off at the post office in Sharon. They can come to our food pantry. Someone is there from 8 to 11:30 every Tuesday. And what we need are things like cereal, spaghetti sauce,
So
soup.
spaghetti sauce will last forever, right? It's
Oh yeah,
pretty well
these are
locked
all
in.
non-perishables. Only non-perishables can be
non-perishables,
donated.
very important,
Non-perishables, right?
So those green bananas are going to get ripe sooner or later.
Yes,
All
and
right, we don't want those.
no, all non-perishables, and then things like rice and, like I said, soup, vegetables, beans, pasta, juice, box juice or bottle juice that's non-perishable.
Canned proteins, like
Oh,
tuna.
we get tuna.
Yeah.
We get canned white chicken. Things in the can, non-perishable. We like that. Cookies, crackers, as for a treat for the kids. Baked goods, that sort of thing.
So with this as sort of a backdrop, perhaps one of you has a success story that you would say, this is what came of this that made, kind of warmed my heart. So does anyone want to sort of think about and say, I got to tell you that.
I can think of a couple of opportunities the food pantries have helped people who were not folks who were using food pantries. We had a couple of families where their house burnt down, and all of a sudden they had nothing. I mean, and they needed something immediately. And often I would be contacted through the schools because they knew that we did this kind of stuff, and with the HEPA regulations, they can't tell you who the people are unless the people choose,
Yes.
to be known. So that's something I also respect and work with. And the pantries have been great to open their doors to emergency situations like that. I think those are very important situations because these are people. Not to say that anybody that uses the pantry understands better, but these are people who don't understand how this works at all. They've never been homeless before. They've never had a need like that before, and to have those pantries available to help them in that immediate need is really great. I mean, Red Cross does come in. Sometimes they come in a little bit late, and sometimes they can only provide a room for a couple of days, maybe a week, but they still need food.
Is there a hotline, like a number?
If they call the town hall, they'll get my phone number or the other
Okay.
co-director, Susie M. Black's phone number, and we can provide them with all the information. If they call the town hall, there's numbers there. And if they call, I'm sure, the Immaculate Conception Church.
Yeah, the church. They could call the church and they would be put in touch with the Christine Gallagher who runs the food pantry.
Right. So that's a great way to do it, is just
Yeah.
either call the town, call the church. It's amazing that you've got,
Yeah.
churches, the town government's involved, the businesses are involved, other religious groups are involved. Who else should we be sort of extending out to?
Well, I don't know if we mentioned it's First Methodist Church, right? Is that what?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
That church is owns the property that the Ilsa Marks Pantry is in. And so it's important to mention that because they own and donate that property to the pantry, which is fabulous. We've had businesses who have come in and helped. Actually, IKEA, when we first helped move the Ilsa Marks Pantry, which used to be called the Stoughton Food Pantry, was in the train station. And the train station had no heat, had no running water, had no bathrooms. And even though the pantry was only open 3 or 4 hours a week, still there were needs. And so the church was kind enough to allow us to use this property. IKEA came in and not only donated the materials, but actually built all of the shelving within the property. Several years ago, when the property was getting a bit too dilapidated, several of us on the committee and reaching out actually painted the property and fixed up the property. Steve Kelley of Kelley Construction, similar to your name, without the E.
The other Steve
Without the
Kelley.
extra E, exactly. And he actually put on a brand new roof on the building. I forget who donated the actual roofing material, but he was up there for a couple of days putting that roof on. Those are the success stories, in my opinion. The people, because when you do something like that, you feel it in the heart. And that's how, in my opinion, I know I feel very successful knowing that this is happening, that we're feeding other people.
Also, I've had clients that have come for years, and then they've come back as donators.
Well, that's
Yeah,
a success
that's great.
story.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, my
And
goodness.
they come back and they donate, and they say, thank you, I was going through a rough time, you got me over the hump, and it feels so good to be able to give back. And they say things like, I don't know what I would have done if you guys weren't here. We still hear that a lot from our clients.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'd do if you guys weren't here.
What do you think of the people in your lives that you would appreciate, that put you in a place to be able to do this? So when you think back. Kathy, what do you think?
Well, I volunteered, came down to the food pantry 2.5 years ago, and it was after I retired, and I just wanted to get involved in something. So I thought about it, and I talked to somebody at church who goes and volunteers at the food pantry, so I got involved, and I love it. You feel like you're doing something. I mean, I'm there Wednesday and Fridays, and once a month on Thursdays. So there's a lot involved, and I've learned so much about, you see the need that people have, and I can contribute a little bit. So it's a good feeling.
It almost speaks to your ability to have compassion.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And another thing that really moves me is when the people come in on the Council on Aging bus. The drivers are so wonderful because everyone comes through and they get all their food, and they get so much food, and the drivers will help them get all their food on the bus. They
Carry
get
it
the
in,
people on the bus, and they bring it home to where they live, and they bring the food in. And I think that's wonderful because a lot of the elderly have trouble lifting those heavy bags, so it's wonderful to see.
So that's sort of another success story.
Yes.
We have drivers that,
Yes.
just part of the process, one small part.
Yeah.
They do their part, carrying the extra bundles in and stuff. So that really sets people up. Other thoughts on the compassionate, Fred, this compassionate piece, where's that come from
I
for
think,
you?
well, in my personal case, my dad was on the Board of Selectmen in Stoughton as a volunteer for 22 years, the longest in the town's history. He also served on the Chamber of Commerce. He was involved in the American Heart Association. He was the president of the Lions Club. I mean, he was a volunteer. It was always about serving and serving and serving. And I think that we absorbed that just simply by being part of it. Even though we may not have ever spoken about it, like, by the way, you got to do this. It was simply done by example, and then you become part of that world. And then as a result of that, you become service-oriented, and then you volunteer, and then all of a sudden you see the need to volunteer, and you do it with care and compassion, and it just rewards you for all the good that gets done.
Your thoughts on that, Chris?
Well, I wasn't involved in anything years and years and years ago. I was young. I didn't realize this stuff was even going on, and I got involved with the Doin It For Diane committee through Ann Havlin, who passed away years ago, and she ran the St. Anthony's Food Pantry, and she brought me in and showed me what was going on, and my eyes were opened up, and I said, I want to help. And that I was currently employed at Windsor Tire, and we thought of the many ways we could help, and I said, if you ever need me, call me. And Ann was very sick, and Christine Gallagher called and said, you know, we rent this truck to go to the food bank every month, and it fell through. And so I rented a truck through Windsor Tire, and then I had one of my employees, Joel Honig, drive it, and we did that for, I believe, 6 years every month, and then went over and unloaded it. The company I worked for got sold, so that had to end, but people stepped in. So Forrest Lindwall, who a lot of us know, and you know very well, who is Joel's father-in-law, heard of the need, and now he is driving the truck that the church is renting to get the food every month.
So it's
Which I
great
think
to get his name out there doing this wonderful service.
Nobody knows he's doing it. I mean, he does so much in town, and Forrest Lindwall is driving this big truck full of food and helping unload it, stop and shop.
I didn't even think he could drive a car.
Forrest is doing a great job. And I got a lot of people where I worked involved, and now I'm at a new place, as you just found out, Huggett and Ewing. They've been in business since 1951. And as of last week, the third generation owners have signed on to be the first official Stoughton Food Pantry drop-off location. So you can come to the service department, drop off non-perishable food, make monetary donations that are tax deductible through the Food Pantry Foundation of Stoughton. I'm there, and we can facilitate getting them to the pantries when the pantries aren't open because they have limited hours. And we'd love to see people come down and do that. And they signed on to it, and they're from the younger generation, and so I'm bringing another generation into what we call doing well by doing good. That's one of the Stoughton Chamber's mission statement.
Great phrase.
And so, you know, you can get people to come in, and people have been bringing food without me announcing that we're now, and I said, this is a great idea, we should really do this, and they both immediately signed on to it.
All right,
And
well,
it's great.
I want to thank you all. You've done a great job for a great cause. We look forward to seeing you on May 5th. It's Friday night, 6 to 9 p.m. Come on down, bring some food, have a great time. You're going to get a few laughs. Also want to thank Leo McGowan, Roy Cohen, Gina Coe, and Lisa Remy in the background. Thanks for watching.
Good stuff, right?